Okay, so in today's session we will discuss about some basics of statistics. So we will get a brief introduction of the statistics. So let us start with the little introduction. Why do we study statistics? Because as we know, data is everywhere. Today's world is being driven by data. Many new technologies like deep learning and machine learning are basically dependent upon the data. So the role of statistics and data analytics is in more demand nowadays anyway. So statistical techniques are used to make many decisions that affect our life. Right? We do have a large amount of data, but that does not but that data does not uh, assist, or that data does not give a result until and unless we do some analysis work on it, unless we make some inferences out of it. So that work is done by the statistical techniques. So no matter what your career is, like you may have a research work, or you may have government job, you may have a job in NGOs, you may have job in business sector, you may be a researcher in geoinformatics, you may be a researcher in humanities, you may be a researcher in science. But in all of these fields you will have to deal with the data, and as the consequences the statistics. So understanding of the statistical method will help you make these decisions effectively. So in this session we will get to know about the basics of statistics and importance of statistics in different field, different types of statistics, and ways of organizing and representing data. So for the definition, the science of collecting, organizing, presenting, analyzing, and interpreting data to assist in making more effective decisions is the statistics. So there are four words here basically: collecting, organizing, presenting, and analyzing of the data. So collecting means because statistics deal with the data, so first you will have to collect data. So that data may be collected directly from the subject of the interest, or from another bodies that already have the data about your study area, or in your object of interest, right? So when you are collecting data yourself about your particular topic, then that type of data is known as primary data. And when you are collecting data from some other agencies, some other modes about your area of interest or object of interest, then that type of data is known as secondary data. And to find out this data, there are different methods. We take samples, because when you have a huge population, when you are carrying out a study about a huge area or a huge population, then it is not possible to get the data about all of them, all of your population. So in that case, we use sample, and such sample should be such that it is representing whole of the data. So that comes under collecting. Then comes the organizing. So after collection of the data, how you are organizing that data to be managed and understood easily in the form of tables, in the form of charts. So that is the organizing part. Then comes the presenting part. Because statistics is dealing with the data itself and simply the numbers. Just by looking at the numbers, it is very difficult to uh, get an idea of what is happening. A layman person or a person having no background of statistics, it will be very difficult for him or her to get the idea. So these concepts or the trend can be easily presented by using graphical by using graphical means like charts, mm, graphs, tables, etc. Right? So we use different types of chart like pie chart, bar chart, histogram, frequency polygons to better show the better show the phenomena or the trends that the data is inferring. So that comes under your presenting subheading. Then comes the analyzing. So after all this, we have to analyze the data to make a useful decision, to make it uh, educated guess or an estimate for decision support system. So this analyzing part include mm, making a estimation or a calculated guess, hypothesis testing. If you are a researcher, then every researcher would have to have this hypothesis testing. So they will have to use the statistics there. Okay. So that comes under your analyzing part. That what inference is being made, what observation or what prediction can be made from the data. That comes under the analyzing part. Okay. And by analyzing this data, we can uh, help a business or a government or an institute to make a well educated and most probably a good decision or an effective decision. So statistical analysis is used to manipulate, summarize, and investigate data so that useful decision making information results. Then comes the type of the statistics. So basically two types of statistics are there. One is descriptive statistics and another one is inferential statistics. Descriptive statistics means uh, the statistics, the techniques or the method in statistics that is describing or characterizing the data sets itself. That what nature is the data you have got, what type of data it is, where is their mean, how much spread out the data is. So that is covered under descriptive statistics. Okay, so method of organizing and summarizing, presenting data in an informative way, it comes under the descriptive statistics part. And summarizing means you must have heard of mean, median, mode, variance. So that is the summarization of whole of your data set just by these parameters. So mean is representing whole of your statistics by giving the average of the data set. Similarly, mean, median, and variance is also characterizing the data, that how far your data is spread from the mean. So it is giving us the idea of the characteristics of your data set. So that is why this is known as descriptive statistics. Then comes your inferential statistics. Inferential words come from infer. Infer means to make an estimate, to make a calculated guess. Okay, so the method used to determine something about a population on the basis of sample is known as, comes under inferential statistics. So you got the data of a sample. So now using that data of the sample, or by using this sample data, you are making a guess, or you are making a prediction about the population. Okay, so there are two terms are coming here. One is population, another one is sample. So the entire set of individuals or objects of interest, or the measurements obtained from all of the individual or object of interest, is known as the population. So let us take an example. If you want to study an entire colony or a society, a close society in which 100 residents are living, so that 100 residents in that particular society is the population. That is your uh, E of interest, okay, object of interest. So suppose you want to find out the weight, or the average weight of your colony, then the weight is the variable. Weight is the variable. And if you want to measure the height, okay, if you are taking the data about the height of the population, that height is the variable. So a variable is represented by x, or another alphabet that can take any number of mm, values. Okay, a variable can take many number of values, many values. That is why it is known as a variable. Then comes your sample. So a sample is portion or a subset of the whole of the population or the data set. So when our population is so large that we cannot gather data about whole of the population, or we have some time constraint or other constraint, then in those cases we use the data of just a subset of that population. So that subset is known as the sample. So with this diagram, or this diagram, the concept of sample and population is being explained. So you can see in the parking lot there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 30 cars. Okay, so these 30 cars are the population. That so your population or the object of interest are the cars that park in this particular lot. So 30 cars park in this particular parking lot. So those 30 are the population. But suppose you want to collect the data, but you are not getting all of the 30 cars all at once, and it is some cars are gone to other states with the owner, and they are coming after a very long time, and you do have some time constraints. Then in that case you will have to just take the data of some of the samples. So here, out of these 30 cars, only data about 6 car is being taken. So that is the subset out of the uh, population. Okay, so then comes your inferential statistics. As already mentioned, inferential means infer means to make an guess, to make a calculated guess, or to make an estimate. So estimate the population mean weight using the sample mean weight. So what is estimation? That you are uh, calculating some characteristic parameter, or you are guessing about some about some characteristic of the population using the data of just the sample. So that is the estimation. So other hypothesis testing. So the somebody's hypothesis. That research has to do it. That research has to do it. But is testing being carried out. It is being used. So hypothesis. So, to test or prove that hypothesis, the researcher has to collect data, and then check whether the hypothesis is correct or not. Okay, that is known as hypothesis testing. Okay, that it is used to validate whether a hypothesis is correct or not. Inference is the process of drawing conclusions or making decisions about population based on the sample results. Simply. So, what is sampling? So, it is a part of your descriptive statistics, as I've already said. Collecting, organizing, and representing of the data comes under your descriptive statistics. So, the process of collecting data from the samples is known as sampling. The sample should have the same characteristics as the population it is representing, right? So, because you are taking data from the sample to make a guess about the population, so the sample should be such that it is representing whole of the population. So, sampling can be done with the replacement or without replacement. With replacement, for an example, member of population may be chosen more than once, right? Taking the candy from the ball. And without replacement, a member of the population may chosen only once. Okay. So in lottery system or uh, if you take an example of deck of cards, so every card is different. So if you take out a card, so there will be no replacement of it. But whereas if you take a candy of a out of a candy ball, then there will be another candy similar like that particular candy. So with the replacement, with this kind of conditions, you can take out the sampling. Okay, so there are two types of sampling with sample with replacement and without replacement. Sampling method can be random. Each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. So in the random sampling, each member of the population would have an equal chance of being selected. Right? That is why it is known as random, because members are chosen. Uh, members are chosen randomly. So each member will have equal chance of being selected. Then comes the non-random sampling. So the actual process of sampling causes sampling errors. For example, suppose uh, you want to calculate the age, you want to get the age of whole of the population or the inhabitants in that in a particular colony having 1,000 residents. So to take the sample, if this if you go to the school that is situated inside the society, suppose there is a school inside that society. So if you go inside that school to find out the sample data, then that is not a correct way of collecting data. That is producing a sampling error or bias. Why? Because in the school you will get uh, people, you will get inhabitants falling in a particular age range. Okay, so it will not be representing whole of the data set. Okay, so the actual process of sampling causes sampling error. For example, the same may not be sample may not be large enough or representative of the population. Okay, so your sample may not be large enough, it would be very small, or as I've just explained in the example, it may not be representative of the whole of the population. Like if you want to collect the data about age, but you take uh, all the data from a school itself and not of the um, other elderly people, so that will give only data data about a particular subset, not of the whole population. Okay, so factors not related to the sampling process cause non-sampling errors. Like if you are a researcher who is carrying out the research, carrying out the study, if he is making an error while collecting data or recording data, so that falls under non-sampling errors. So a defective counting device can also cause non-sampling error. So a random sampling method, in random sampling method are these further methods like simple random sample, stratified sampling, cluster sampling, and systematic sampling. So in simple random sampling, each sample of the same size has equal chance of being selected. Similarly to the definition of random sampling, that each member of the population or the sample would have equal chance of being selected. So that is known as simple random sampling. We are taking data points or the observation randomly inside the population. That is simple random sampling. Then comes the stratified sampling. So divide the population into groups called strata and then take the sample from each stratum. Okay. So in this your population, so suppose let us take the same example of 1,000 inhabitants or residents of a particular society. So if you are taking the data about the age, so if you stratified or if you separate, or if you make groups, different groups per- uh, depending upon their age group, and then from each age group you simply select members randomly, then that type of sampling is known as stratified sampling. Then comes the cluster sampling. Divide the population into strata and then randomly select some of the strata. All the members from the strata are in the cluster sample. So for the first part, it is same that you are making strata or different layers of your population. You are dividing your population to different layers, different classes. But where it is different from the stratified sampling is that in cluster sampling we are choosing randomly whole of the uh, cluster itself. Okay, or whole of the strata itself, not data points from a particular cluster or from a particular strata, but we are randomly selecting whole of the strata itself. So it is known as cluster sampling. Then comes the systematic sampling. So in this sampling organize data or we organize the data. Uh, we may then randomly select a starting point and take every nth piece of data from a listing of the population. So again, take the same example of 1,000 residents in a particular colony. You make them stand in a line or you make them sit in a line. Then you randomly choose a starting point from where you want to start your sampling, and then after that you fix a particular number. After that particular number, you are skipping that particular number, and after that you are taking the data from from that data point. Okay. Suppose if you have chosen five five number to skip, so every uh, every data point after skipping the five intermediate data points, uh, that data will be collected. So that is known as the systematic sampling. Okay, so in your descriptive statistics comes collective data, collection of data, for example, surveying, presenting of the data, for example, tables and graphs. Then comes the summarization of data. That includes your different measures of statistics. Like there are three measures in statistics. One is measure of central tendency, measure of second one is measure of spread, third one is measure of shape. So in your measure of central tendency come your mean, median, mode. So these calculation of these parameters comes under the summarization of data. So what is a statistical data? The collection of data that are relevant to the problem being studied is commonly the most difficult, expensive, and time-consuming part of the entire research project. Yeah, to collect the data is the most difficult job of an entire project. Statistical data are usually obtained by counting or measuring items, right? Because statistical data deal with mostly deal with the numerical number, so it is obtained either by counting or by measuring. So, what is primary data? Primary data are collected specifically for the analysis desired. Okay, so if you are carrying out a study how a particular or about a particular thing, then if you are taking the data, if you are taking out the survey to get the data about that particular thing, that is known as a primary data. That you are directly uh, getting the data for the analysis desired. Then comes the secondary data. Secondary data have already been compiled and are available for statistical analysis. So secondary data is the data that has already been collected and organized. It may be organized by a government department or some other organization and institute that can provide secondary data. So what is variable here? So a variable is an item of interest that can take many different numerical values. Right? So variable is a term, an item that may. So if we want to find out the age, or if we are collecting the data about the age of 1,000 residents in a colony, then the age will be the variable, and age will be the variable, and it can take any number or any value depending upon uh, who we are who we are taking the data from. Okay, so the age will be different depending upon that. A constant has a fixed numerical value, whereas a variable will have different variable value. Then comes the data. What is data? Statistical data are usually obtained by counting or measuring items. Most data can be put into following categories: qualitative, quantitative. What is qualitative data? Data, as the name suggests, qualitative data are measured that fall into one of the several categories, like hair color, ethnic groups, and other attributes of the population. So, in this case, uh, you cannot measure the quantity in numerical terms, right? You are using verbal terms to categorize the data, like hair color. Like, for example, for hair color, you cannot write it like 1, 2, 3. You have to use the words like dark brown, uh, light brown, blonde, silver, white. So these are all the hair colors. So you cannot represent these hair color, or there's no number associated with it, right? So this is the type of qualitative data. Then comes the quantitative data. Quantity means quantity comes from quantity. So data that are observation that are measured or on numerical scale. Distance traveled to college, number of children in the family. So these are example of quantitative data that may be either counted or measured. Measured like in the case of length, weight, height, temperature. Measure like if you want to collect the data about the number of children in a family. So that is, in that case you have to count. You have to count the data. So that is you have to count the number. Okay, that is an example of quantitative data. And your qualitative data basically the output about the qualitative data output is in verbal terms, not in numerical terms, like good, better, best, or name of the color, name of the month. So that is qualitative data. So this qualitative data can be separated into two groups, like dichotomic and polynomial. Dichotomic means that can have two types of outcome. Okay, like for example, yes, no, good, bad, male, female. This type of answers having questions having this type of answers is known as dichotomic uh, data. Then comes the polynomial data. So if the answer or if the output of your data takes the form of word with more than two options, right? Like education, primary school, secondary school, and university. Okay, so here you can see the data is again, output is again in the verbal form, non-numerical form. Words are being used, but the options are, or the answers, possible answer, potential answers are more than two. That is polynomic data. Then comes your quantitative data. So quantitative data is data that is either measured or counted, and its output would be in a numerical value. Quantitative data are always numbers and are the result of counting or measuring. Attributes of population. Quantitative data are always numbers and are the result of counting or measuring attributes of population. Quantitative data can be separated into discrete data and continuous data. So discrete data is when it is the result of counting, like number of children in a family, a number of books on a shelf. So this is an example of discrete data, where the data can have only whole numbers as the output. But whereas continuous data is the result of measuring, not counting. Here the data can have values or the uh, output in the points, right? Like weight, height, temperature. It can be in points. There will be no certain boundary uh, where data is changing from one whole number to the another. Okay, so that will not be the case in continuous data. So what is what is the brief about the variable? That variable can be either qualitative or quantitative. In qualitative, you can have dichotomic or polynomial data types. Dichotomic means gender, like male, female, marital status, like married, non-married. And polynomial means where you can have more than two verbal answer or two verbal outputs. Like brand of PC, hair color. The possible answer could be more than two. So it is polynomial. Then another type of variable is quantitative. So it can have two types of data: discrete and continuous. Discrete, as I've already discussed, like a number of pen or number of book in the shelf, number of students in a class, number of children in the family. So these are an example of discrete data, and they can have only values that are whole number. Whereas in continuous data, whereas in continuous data, the output can be in points and decimals. Okay, amount of income, total tax paid, weight, and height of the students are all example of continuous data. Then comes the scale, numerical scale of measurement. Uh, so there are four types of scale: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio scale. So first two scale, nominal scale and ordinal scale. These are mostly used for qualitative data. The last two scales, interval and ratio, these are used for quantitative data. Right? What is nominal scale? So nominal scale is if you draw a graph having x-axis and y-axis. So on x-axis you will have words. Okay, the division would be division would have words instead of numbers, and those words will not be dependent on each other. They are not related. Like you can have months on x-axis, so one month is not numerically related to other months, right? So it is the nominal data. Then is ordinal data. So it is also uh, used for qualitative data, and the output will be, or the data will be in the verbal form, but there will be particular order between those answers or between those data, like good, better, best, or like service poor, service very poor, poor, fair, good, very good. So these all are answer in word, but they have a particular order. Right? Poor, poor will be uh, less desirable than the good, whereas good would be less desirable than the very good. Similarly, they are having a relationship between each other. Then comes the interval. Then comes the interval scale. When we use intervals or classes, so you may have encountered these scale many times. So this is an example of this is a scale that is used for quantitative data, both interval and ratio. So let me go quickly through these slides. So how do we represent data? We can use different types of charts and graphs, like frequency distribution graph. On the x-axis you will have the data points or intervals, and on the y-axis you will have frequency. On the y-axis you will have frequency, and the graph thus formed will be known as frequency distribution graph. It can be histogram or frequency distribution polygram that we will see. What is histogram? Frequently used to graphically present interval and ratio data, and is often used for interval and ratio data. The adjacent bars indicate that the numerical range is being summarized by indicating the frequencies in arbitrarily chosen classes. And so this is an example of histogram. It is a type of bar chart, but here bars are attached to each other, right? Attached to each other, and this scale that is being used is interval scale. they are continuous in nature, and on the y-axis you are having frequency. Okay, so this is a type of frequency distribution curve or chart. Then comes the frequency polygon. So if you just measure, if you just take line by, if you mark line by pointing the midpoint of these columns or these bars, then you will get frequency polygon instead of frequency distribution or histogram. Okay, so this is the frequency polygon. Then comes the Ogive chart. So Ogive chart is a kind of a frequency distribution curve, but it is a cumulative frequency distribution curve. Okay, so what is the characteristic of Ogive chart? That your chart will never come down as you move along. As you move along the x-axis, it will always keep on going. If it only the slope of